Hi, I'm Billy, 28 years old. I married my husband Carl just 2 years ago, but the journey has been far from smooth, thanks to his mother Helena. Our relationship began when Carl and I met at a bar. A right time, right place scenario. We hit it off that night, exchanged contact information, and started texting nonstop, even staying up until 5 a.m. Our relationship remained undefined for a while. But eventually, we decided to make it official after getting more attached to each other. While my relationship with Carl was great, the hiccup came in the form of his mother, Helena. She was a formidable force who always got what she wanted, even if it meant resorting to questionable methods. Though admirable in some contexts, it became a problem when she set her sights on getting rid of me. Helena never approved of me, convinced I was after Carl's money, despite the fact that I earned more than he did. Helena never concealed her dislike for me, always being rude and insulting, albeit behind my back. She went to great lengths to hurt me, from sticking her leg out to trip me to purposefully spilling drinks, either ice cold or scalding hot, on me. Initially, I dismissed these incidents as accidents, but the pattern became too apparent to ignore. Approaching Carl about it, I expressed my concerns. He was adamant that his mom loved me and dismissed my worries as me being upset over her lack of full approval. However, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I questioned if he would stand up for me if his mother truly disliked me. Carl reassured me, attributing her behavior to overprotectiveness and suggested giving her more time. Reluctantly, I decided to follow Carl's advice and bear with Helena's antics. I made a conscious effort to be on my best behavior whenever she was around, hoping that, as Carl predicted, she would eventually come around. Whenever I visited, I maintained a reserved demeanor, only speaking when spoken to. It felt like I was transported back to the 18th century, but I was determined to do whatever it took to win Helena's approval. One day, out of the blue, Helena called me herself, a departure from her usual practice of contacting Carl. My heart raced as I answered the call, unsure of what to expect. "Hey, Helena, everything all right?" I asked, my voice tinged with uncertainty. "Oh yeah, of course. I was just wondering if you're free this weekend," she replied. "Yeah, why?" I replied, trying to hide my surprise. "Great. I was thinking maybe we could go out together," Helena suggested. "Us? As in, you and me," I clarified, taken aback. "Yes, I know I've been tough on you, but I want to make up for it," she explained. "Ah, of course. Where will we be going, and at what time?" I inquired, still trying to process the unexpected invitation. "I was thinking we could grab lunch at 1 in the afternoon at Sant. It's my favorite restaurant of all time," she answered. "Sounds fancy," I remarked, feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. "Oh, it is. So, you better dress well," she teased. "I will. I'll see you there then," I confirmed before ending the call. I couldn't believe Helena wanted to go out with me. It was strange, but I focused on how my efforts were finally paying off. Despite her previous hostility, she needed time to warm up to me. I shared the news with Carl, who was relieved that the two most important women in his life were finally getting along. As the weekend approached, I eagerly awaited our lunch date, planning my outfit meticulously. When the date arrived, I chose a beautiful pantsuit that Carl assured me Helena would approve of. Upon arriving, Helena scrutinized my attire with a hint of disapproval. Nevertheless, I remained optimistic, grateful that she wasn't berating me for my choice. Once inside the restaurant, we were promptly seated, and our waitress approached. Something about her seemed familiar, and then I saw her name tag, Daisy. It clicked in my brain. Daisy was my childhood best friend. We were inseparable growing up, practically sisters. However, life took us in different directions when her family moved away during 7th grade. Memories flooded back as I recalled our tearful goodbyes and countless sleepovers. Despite the distance, our bond remained strong, but eventually our lives diverged. We both made new friends, and our once frequent contact eventually dwindled to nothing. Over the years, I occasionally reminisced about our past, but as time passed, I gradually forgot about her. However, fate had other plans, as there she was, working as a waitress in the upscale restaurant where Helena had invited me. As Daisy approached our table to take our orders, it seemed like she recognized me too. We exchanged pleasantries, and as she cross-checked our orders, she accidentally spilled water on me. Apologizing profusely, she discreetly left a note on my pants. Confused, I glanced at her, and she subtly nodded towards the note while continuing to dab at my lap. Curious, I discreetly read the note, which urgently asked me to come to the washroom. Puzzled and concerned, I excused myself and made my way there. After a brief wait, Daisy walked in, ensuring the stalls were empty before hugging me tightly. Surprised, I reciprocated and greeted her, expressing my delight at seeing her again. As we caught up, Daisy hesitated, indicating that there was something important she needed to tell me. "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" I inquired. "With me, yes, but with you, it's not going to be," Daisy replied, concern etched on her face. She explained that she overheard Helena, who was sitting in front of me, discussing plans to poison her daughter-in-law's food with something she was allergic to. "Holy crap, that's your mother-in-law?" I exclaimed, shocked by the revelation. "Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she was talking about you." "I wanted to be careful about any other woman she might bring here," Daisy clarified. "What in the world are you talking about?" I asked in disbelief. "I overheard her planning to poison her daughter-in-law. I'm warning you just in case." "Run," Daisy urged, her expression grave. "Wait, are you sure it was her?" I questioned. "Hold on," Daisy said, producing a discreetly recorded conversation as evidence. While cleaning their table, I discreetly placed my phone in my shirt pocket, slowing down my cleaning process. Daisy, sensing the urgency, quickly found the video on her phone. As described, the footage revealed Helena and her friend Betty talking disparagingly about me, labeling me a disrespectful daughter-in-law incapable of caring for myself or their son. Helena even boasted about tormenting me to put me in my place, referring to my efforts to gain her approval as pathetic. In the video, Helena outlined her plan to test me by surreptitiously adding finely crushed peanuts to my food, intending to mock my allergy and make a scene. Watching this casual discussion about triggering a potentially life-threatening allergic reaction shook me to my core. Helena clearly identified me as the daughter-in-law she was referring to, and I have a severe allergy that could lead to anaphylaxis. Grateful for Daisy's warning, I thanked her for the heads up. She assured me she was just looking out for another woman and expressed relief that she could help. We exchanged phone numbers, and I informed her that I might use her name as an excuse to leave, to which she agreed. Leaving a generous tip, I returned to our table where Helena was visibly impatient and upset. She remarked on my appearance, accusing me of looking like I'd peed my pants. I explained that the waitress had apologized for the spill, downplaying it as a minor issue. Despite Helena's dismissal of the waitress's courtesy, I used the wet pants as an excuse to leave. Helena insisted that I stay and continue the gathering, but I expressed concern about the cold AC and my discomfort. Apologizing, I stated that I needed to leave immediately to avoid falling ill. Helena, clearly disappointed, tried to guilt me for leaving when she had extended an invitation to know me better. Apologetic yet resolute, I explained it was beyond my control and left, encouraging her to enjoy the rest of her time at the restaurant. After expressing my excuse, I left promptly and drove straight home. However, before reaching home, I made a detour to a gas station where I texted Daisy, urgently requesting the video of Helena discussing her plan. Daisy responded promptly, and armed with the incriminating evidence, I resumed my journey home. Carl's surprise at my early return was evident, considering how excited I had been earlier. Without exchanging words with Carl, I headed straight to the bathroom, craving the cleansing heat of a hot shower. Fearful that Helena might have tainted my clothes or hair with crushed peanuts, I scrubbed myself vigorously, repeating the process 3 times. Once done, I tossed my clothes into the wash and scrubbed my hands clean, Carl observing silently from the corner. When I finished, Carl gently prodded me to share what had transpired. Apologizing for my earlier paranoia, I confessed to encountering a childhood friend who worked as a waitress at the restaurant. Carl, puzzled, listened as I recounted Daisy's warning about Helena's sinister intentions. Unconvinced, Carl questioned the credibility of my friend's claims, prompting me to reveal the recorded conversation. As the video played, Carl's eyes widened in shock, realizing the gravity of his mother's actions. Memories of my previous hospitalization due to accidental peanut ingestion resurfaced, intensifying his horror at his mother's planned cruelty. Remorseful, Carl apologized profusely for dismissing my concerns about his mother's behavior in the past. He acknowledged the trauma I had endured and expressed deep regret for not taking it seriously. Grateful for his sincerity, I accepted his apologies, letting go of the resentment that had lingered between us. I understood Carl's perspective. Who could fathom their own mother actively trying to harm their spouse? We discussed his mother's sinister plan at length, agreeing that it was in our best interest to avoid meeting her in person ever again. We didn't want to risk any further harm. That night, Helena called Carl to complain about my perceived indecency for leaving early. Carl was prepared to address the matter. "We need to talk about your wife," Helena complained. "Yeah, we do. So, what do you have to say?" Carl responded. "I knew it. That wife of yours is beyond disrespectful. She left early today, after I took time out to spend one-on-one time with her. The audacity of her. It's high time you leave her. If she can't respect your mother, is she really worth it?" Helena insisted. "Why would she try to respect my mother when my mother tried to poison her?" Carl retorted. "Huh. Excuse me. I can't act all high and mighty now." "What are you talking about?" Helena denied. "I have a video of you discussing how you were going to mix crushed peanuts into her food with Aunt Betty. Whether it was a joke or not, it was sick. I'm glad Billy was informed and got herself out of the situation fast. Neither of us wants you to visit us ever again. We can chat and video call, but that's about it. If you show up, we will release the video and get a restraining order against you. Goodbye, Mom," Carl firmly declared before ending the call. Carl's assertiveness was liberating, as he stood up for me, expressing the things I wished to convey to Helena from the start. Helena persisted in calling and texting, spewing insults against me. Carl occasionally picked up her calls, hearing her accuse him of disrespecting her by believing his wife's lies. Nevertheless, he always found a way to end the conversation. Initially skeptical about Helena listening to our firm stance, she kept her communication limited to calls and texts for months. Just as we began to relax, Helena decided to visit. Frustrated by her relentless insults, Carl ignored her calls for about 2 weeks. She was displeased with our decision, and in her determination to express her dissatisfaction, she chose to show up uninvited at our house. Her incessant doorbell ringing and shouts for us to open up became unbearable. Despite attempting to ignore her, the persistent noise eventually gave me a headache, prompting Carl to open the door. She pushed him aside and marched into the house. Wary of her evident anger and potential for causing harm, I tried to keep my distance. However, my curiosity led me to observe the confrontation. Helena wasted no time in expressing her displeasure. "Mom, what are you doing here? Didn't we? Don't you start with me, Carl. I'm your mother, and I have a right to know about what's going on in your life." "Sure, but you've never actually asked me what's been going on in my life. All you've been giving me are your unsolicited opinions on my wife." "They're not opinions. They're facts. Look, I'm sorry I ignored your calls, but you need to leave now." "I'm not leaving until your witch of a wife comes here and apologizes for defaming me." "Defaming? She didn't do anything like that. How can you stand up for her against your own mother?" "I didn't at first, but then I saw the proof, and I couldn't side with you anymore. So get out, please. That proof is fabricated. Like I'd ever try to put crushed peanuts in her food. I'm going to ask you to leave once again, or I will get the police involved." Helena refused to leave, escalating the situation by accusing me of being a family wrecker and threatening to make me pay in the worst possible way. Terrified, I was relieved when Carl called the police, who escorted her away. Subsequently, we filed for a restraining order, determined to maintain a distance from her. Helena persisted in portraying me as evil to the police. This false narrative hurt, especially since I hadn't done anything to warrant such hostility. Facing backlash from Carl's relatives for seemingly villainizing his mother, Carl took a bold step. He placed them in a group chat, sharing the video of Helena planning to poison me and explaining my severe peanut allergy. The relatives apologized and redirected their anger at Helena. Unwilling to accept responsibility, Helena retaliated by blowing up our phones, accusing us of defaming her again. Despite the challenging months, we decided to move on, blocking Helena everywhere and committing to no contact with her. Grateful for Daisy's intervention, I rekindled our friendship and life has taken a positive turn. We've hung out a lot, almost returning to our old friendship. With Helena out of our lives, we look forward to a better and brighter future.